Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Grand Rapids Community College's Criminal Justice 115 class research presentation on substance use and abuse on campus. My name is Don Allen, and this is my third semester here at GRCC. I currently work as an intern at the Grand Rapids Police Department, and I'll be attending the Police Academy here at GRCC starting next month. I would like to start this morning by acknowledging a few of our special guests that are here in attendance. President Stephen Ender, President of the Grand Rapids Community College, Professor Gary Ebels of the Grand Rapids Community College's Criminal Justice Department, Sergeant John Sexton, Allegan County Sheriff Department, Corrections Deputy Brendan Bailey, Allegan County Sheriff's Department, Grand Rapids Police Officer Tom Warwick, George Waite of the Grand Rapids Community College's Director of Tassel MTech, Misty Stanton, Training Coordinator, Schools of Hope Program, United Way, Associate Dean Paula Sullivan, Steve Brunink of the Kent County Office of the Defender. Steve is also an adjunct instructor in criminal justice, and Anita Drew, Kent County Prosecutor's Office of the Victim Witness. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules this morning to attend this presentation that we've put so much time and effort into.
Hello everyone, my name is Moses Stamps, and this is my second semester here at Grand Rapids Community College. At this time, I would like to take a moment to briefly explain to you the reasons why you are here today. In previous years, the criminal justice class of 115, Client Relations and Corrections, has conducted research on campus regarding potential causational factors of criminal behavior, the most recent being that of safety and security on campus. This year's class initially agreed to develop a research study on the issues of harassment on campus. However, after Andrew Cannon, one of our peers, presented an article on substance abuse, we decided to investigate that matter further. The article which Andrew discovered was published online at mlive.com, written by Brian McVicker on November the 5th, 2012. This article revealed that Grand Rapids Community College had been cited by the federal government for lacking a policy that addressed the risk of drugs and alcohol on campus. It also was cited by the federal government for failing to measure the effectiveness of prevention programs on campus. As criminal justice students, this piqued our interest, and as we have deemed this semester, the use and abuse of controlled substances is indeed a causational factor of criminality. It is our hope that the information presented today will be of much value, not to only our class, but to future endeavors here on campus and in our communities. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marvin Beitdyke. I'm a freshman here studying juvenile services. GRCC the mission is an open access college that prepares individuals to attain their goals and to contribute to the community. The values are excellence, diversity, responsiveness, innovation, accountability, sustainability, respect, and integrity. The ends, in all instances, the work to achieve these ends will reflect our core values. We will measure the success of our efforts by monitoring students' performance in 3 specific areas: persistence, completion, and transfer.
Hello, my name is Andrew Cannon, and I'm a transfer student graduating here this semester with an associate's degree. The School of Workforce Development is comprised of approximately 124 full-time, 150 part-time faculty, and 78 staff. They are committed to the delivery of innovative and responsive workforce learning programs and services to strive to ensure students are prepared for current and future employment and lifelong learning. Approximately 47% of GRC students are enrolled in credit-based occupational programs. Additionally, they serve significant segments of the workforce through job training programs, apprenticeships programs, customized training opportunities, and community partnership programs. The School of Workforce Development offers instruction, credit, non-credit, customized delivery and job training, apprenticeships, employment services, and services as a workforce clearinghouse. Currently offering 17 programs and 32 associate's degree options and 23 certificate options, their goal is to evaluate all options available to students for lifelong learning and develop additional programs which best meet the workforce needs in our community. In a recent article published on MLive, November 17th, Michigan State University conducted a study that predicts this school year, employers are expected to hiring increase by 31% for students with associate's degrees, compared to that of only a 13% increase of those with bachelor's degrees and doctorates combined. Given this bit of information, I will be happy to graduate from this school with an associate's degree and transfer to a higher level. And we'd like to thank Ms. Fiona Hurt, Dean of the School of Workforce Development, her associate deans, and the staff for everything they do to make our educational experiences and transitions into future careers nothing less than exceptional.
Good morning. My name is Greg Tosh. I'm studying juvenile services. I'm in my final year right now. I currently have an internship at Streams of Hope in Kentwood, which is just an after-school program working with kids. The Grand Rapids Community Criminal Justice Department has 4 main areas of study: corrections, juvenile services, law enforcement, and addiction studies. Corrections prepares a student to work as an adult corrections officer in jail or prison, counselors in a halfway house, or on probation or parole. Juvenile services help prepare a student to work with children and adolescents in corrections or human service setting. Students in this field may work in juvenile courts and detention centers, residential homes for youths, or faith-based organizations to help youth in trouble. The law enforcement program is a pre-service police academy that prepares students to become eligible as a licensed police officer in Michigan. The state of Michigan requires a recruit to attend a police academy program and receive an associate's degree or higher. Addiction studies prepares a student to serve as substance abuse counselors and residential care counselors, or to work with addicted populations in parole or probation. And then also within all 4 areas of study, we use internships to gain on-the-job experience.
Good morning. My name is Sean Arns. I'm a senior at Ferris State University in my final semester. I am very proud to say that I am employed full-time at the Kent County Sheriff's Department. The actual course that this research project is based in, CJ 115, Client Growth and Development, under the guideship of Professor Nikki Banks. It should be noted that this course is one of the 5 courses that meets the requirements for the Michigan Correctional Officers Training Council certificate. The other courses are as follows: CJ 105, Intro to Corrections; CJ 216, Client Relations in Corrections; CJ 221, Correctional Institutions; and finally CJ 231, Legal Issues in Corrections. Course objectives. In this course, we have an examination of the psychological, social, and environmental causes of criminal behavior in both juveniles and adults. The impact of psychological, substance abuse, sexual abuse, and other medical problems of offenders, and the intervention strategies used in institutional and community settings will be examined. This course also presents a strong foundational research component and experience. In summary, as criminal justice professionals, we have the opportunity to work with clients from a widely diverse socioeconomic background. It is important that we try to understand where our clients come from in order to give them the highest quality of service. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Annie Vandenberg, and I'm currently in my 2nd year here at GRCC. I am pursuing a degree in psychology, hoping to go into the criminal aspect. We will be discussing the purposes of research this morning. Research is designed to collect and analyze information concerning a pre-existing problem or issue, for instance, substance use and abuse here at the GRCC campus. Researchers will conduct their research to gather information on a particular interest. Once the information is gathered, it can be analyzed. With this information, the first researchers and others to follow can view the information and make an educated decision on how to handle the said issue. The information that is gathered can also help rule out and consider external factors. According to GRCC protocols, anyone conducting research must follow a set of guidelines provided by the Institutional Review Board. We as a class tried our best to follow the guidelines provided. For instance, one must state the purpose of their research when approaching someone who could possibly be a participant. We did this by telling every student the purpose of our research was to get a better understanding of how the issue of substance use and abuse here on campus. According to the Institution Review Board, the research group must also state how much confidentiality will be given to the participants. With our research, we chose to give every participant complete immunity, which was stated prior to administering the survey. As you can see, we as a class tried our best to follow every protocol given by the Institutional Review Board.
Good morning, my name is Veronica Gertis. This is my second semester here at GRCC. I am studying criminal justice. We rely on research to gather professionals' opinions and experiences from working in the criminal justice field. Researching information related to criminal justice helps us gain an understanding of human behavior. Researching within the criminal justice field helps us to understand the reason offenders act the way they do and aids us in determining the reason a crime was committed. Conducting research surveys within the criminal justice field is how researchers determine the public's opinion of things going on in the field. Without the ability to conduct surveys within our community, criminal justice officials would not have access to the public's opinions. Surveys are also conducted to determine prison and jail inmate movements as well as sentencing patterns from all across the nation. None of this information would be accessible without the ability to survey within communities and conduct research. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Trisha Heinzelman. I currently work at Pine Rest Christian Services, which is where I will be completing my internship next semester. I will graduate from GRCC this year and will be transferring to Ferris State University to achieve my bachelor's in corrections. There are so many ways to find information on measuring characteristics and crime of criminals. Information on the characteristics of crimes is not only a sort of data analyzed by criminologists, they also want to know the characteristics of people who commit the crime. There are many different ways that researchers help group criminals into categories such as gender, age, socioeconomic level, and race. These categories study the various offender groups to determine why some people are more likely than others to commit crimes. Here are three of the most known types for analyzing data. Uniform Crime Report, known as the UCR, are annual publications containing criminological data complied by the FBI and intended to assist in identifying law enforcement problems such as murder and robbery. These studies provide a nationwide view of crime because they are based on statistics submitted by law enforcement agencies across the U.S. National Crime Victimization Survey, known as the NCVS, enables the BJS, known as the Bureau of Justice, to estimate the likelihood of victimization by rape, assault, robbery for the population as a whole, as well as for segments of the population such as the woman, the elderly, and other groups. The NCVS provides the largest national forum for victims to describe the impact of some crime that have taken place alongside the FBI Index of Crime. Self-report surveys, known as SVS, this measures the amount of victims that report the crime that is being committed. Some other known ways that are used for analyzing data are the National Incident-Based Reporting System, known as the NIBRS, is a system used by law enforcement agencies in the U.S. for collecting and reporting data and crimes, local, state, and federal agencies. International Crime Victimization Survey, known as the ICVS, was a project to set up to fill the gap in adequate recording of offenses by police, purposes of comparing crime rates in different nations and to provide a crime index independent of police statistics as an alternative standardized measure. Department of Justice, known as the DIJ, this is the U.S. Executive Department responsible for the enforcement of law and administration of justice. And the National Institute of Justice, known as the NIJ, focuses on research, development, and education of crime control and justice issues.
Good morning. My name is April Worden. I'm a second-year student at Grand Rapids Community College pursuing a degree in juvenile services. We will cover ethics in research. As we moved into this project, our class began to discuss what we felt was a lack of awareness concerning issues of substance use and abuse on campus, and therefore found a need for our research. We as a collective group agreed to adhere to the same protocols when conducting student research. We as a group agreed to follow the protocol of the Institutional Review Board application for approval to use human subjects in research. Participants were informed of the reasons for our research. All information disclosed by participants will remain anonymous. Participants must be willing to submit information desired per our research group. We will avoid prejudicial attitudes towards any particular race, group, or sex, as our research is meant to better us as students, as faculty, and as the community as a whole.
Good morning. My name is Amber Klingman. I'm currently enrolled here at Grand Rapids Community College, and I will be graduating in the fall of 2013 with an associate's degree in juvenile services. I plan on transferring to Grand Valley State University. I currently work at a crisis center for the mentally ill for adults and juveniles through Hope Network. I am seeking an internship next semester at the Juvenile Detention Center. Ethics is a branch of philosophy concerned with the study of questions of right and wrong in regards to how we live and the decisions that we make. Ethics provides us with a way to make moral choices when we are uncertain about what to do in specific situations. Also, understanding ethics enables us to appreciate the complexities of acts that involve ethical issues. Why is it vital for ethics to be involved in research? First, we look at confidentiality. We needed to ask ourselves if the outcome of the research should be published. When dealing with ethics in research, we have what is known as the IRB, the Institutional Review Board. As Anna had mentioned earlier, the IRB exists in all government agencies to ensure the protection of human subjects, and they are also responsible for approving scientific merit, potential risk and benefits, and the informed consent of the individual, which all researchers must obtain from all study participants. The responsibility of obtaining informed consent rests on the researcher. When beginning to do research, there is a certain protocol and application that must be filled out and approved before the research can begin. We as student researchers did not have to go through the whole protocol, but we wanted to ensure that everyone can see the proper protocol for conducting research on humans. Given the importance of ethics for the conduct of research, it should come as no surprise that many different professional associations, government agencies, and universities have adopted specific codes, rules, and policies related to research ethics. Another reason why ethics is important is because it protects and sets in place provisions for the vulnerable population, such as mentally ill, children, and elderly. Why is it important for ethics in the criminal justice field? First, ethics is vital when it comes to comes to criminal justice professionals, because without knowledge of ethics, these professionals can possibly be at a greater risk of being naive of moral issues occurring within a criminal justice system. Second, the study of ethics helps criminal justice professionals quickly recognize the ethical consequence of various actions and moral principles involved. Ethics is particularly important for those who are in a position of power and prominence, as these individuals have the greatest influence on society. Lastly, the law or accepted values of behavior impose ethical standards and responsibility of those individuals. Following, professionals within the criminal justice system must be aware of ethical standards in carrying out their functions. because some criminal justice professionals can be tempted to abuse their power. It is therefore imperative that these men and women do what is right and are free of biases.
Hello, my name is Leo Gray. I'm in the final year of getting my associate's degree in corrections. Today, we're going to talk about the type of research, case study, a process regarding a research in which detailed consideration is given to the development of a particular matter over a period of time. Our class did a case study regarding the movie Antoine Fisher. We needed to pick out 8 critical points that impacted his life and write a paper over it. Scientific method. A method of research in which a problem is identified, relevant data is gathered, a hypothesis is formulated. From this data, and the hypothesis is in practical tested.
Hello everyone, my name is Jalen Faison. I'm currently a freshman here at GRCC. I'm a transfer student to Ferris State, and I would like to talk to you guys about participant and non-participant observation. In participant observation, the researcher takes on a role in the social situation under observation. In this the social researcher immerses his or herself in the social setting under study, getting to know the actors in that current location. Participant observation extends beyond naturalistic observation because the observer is a player in the action. The technique is used in many studies of anthropology and sociology. Non-participant observation. A research technique whereby the researcher watches the subject of his or her own study with their knowledge of what's going on. If the people are unaware they are being observed, then they will obviously not know that they're being observed by the researcher and knowing the knowledge of what the researcher may know. An advantage of non-participant observation would be it can use to analyze social interaction in the wide variety of contexts. A disadvantage of non-participant observation would be relies heavily on the researcher's interpretation of what is going on. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Glenn Clark. I'm in the final year of juvenile corrections. I'll be telling you what a survey is. Surveying is the systematic collection of respondents' answers to questions or interviews. Interviews can also be held face-to-face, over the phone, and electronically as well. An example of this is that we as students here at GRCC are often asked to complete surveys via Blackboard. Its typical use is to obtain and to gauge the attitude, characteristics, or behavior patterns of a large group of people. These people can be also known as the population. There are different methods in which surveys can be conducted. One such method is known as sample survey. This is when you take a subset of group and interview them and then generalize the information for the population. When one picks a random survey, that's called random sampling. As a correction juvenile major, we use surveys to measure crimes in certain areas, attitude towards the police, or towards the sentence of dangerous offenders. We also use it to assess the use of drugs. These are the ways in which we can better serve the community. Another reason for this use of the method is to ensure that the people who decide to come forward will remain completely anonymous, their answers confidential. This way, people can feel safe in doing the survey. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chantal Perez. I'm a transfer student here at GRCC studying criminal justice. While all of those were types of research, there are also two main categories of research, qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative research uses a small number of non-representatives to uncover prevalent trends in thought and opinion. Qualitative researchers aim to gather an in-depth understanding of human behavior and the reasons for such behavior. The qualitative method investigates the why and how of decision-making, not just the what, where, and when. This type of research asks broad questions and collects word data from participants. The researcher looks for themes and describes the information in themes and patterns exclusive to that set of participants. Quantitative research uses a large number of participants that represent the population of interest. These people are usually randomly selected to measure the incidence of various views and opinions in a chosen sample. The objective of quantitative research is to develop and employ mathematical models, theories, and hypotheses pertaining to the research. Quantitative data is any data that is in numerical form, such as statistics and percentages. This means that the quantitative researcher asks a specific narrow question and collects numerical data from participants to answer the question. The researcher analyzes the data with the help of statistics and is hoping the numbers will yield an unbiased result that can be generalized to some larger population. For our purpose of collecting data on campus, we have used quantitative research through random sample surveys of GRCC students to gain a better understanding of the substance use and abuse on campus. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeff DeHaan, and this is my second year at Grand Rapids Community College. Hopefully going to be graduating with my associates next semester in corrections. The group that I was a part of was the overall organization. There was 3 tasks that we were in charge of. The first task was to invite people. As my colleagues and I thought over the many important people that have impacted the college here and from our past as well, me being a graduate from the KCTC program, Kent Career Technical Center Criminal Justice Program. That kind of hit home for me, and also from our futures as well, as future employers and everything like that. As we met, we had no clue really how to contact you guys and how to make it official and professional at the same time. That's where we were introduced to Fawn Tabalik. After compiling our lists of organizations and internal staff, we gave the invites to Ms. Tabalik, and she took care of the labeling and sending out. The second part that we were in charge of was really the food that you see. Yeah, Ms. Tabalik helped us again with setting up the food. She played a big part in the presentation as well. It wouldn't have been possible without her. And the third and final task was the seating arrangement that you see here today. Yeah, and pretty much the overall goal that we had while doing this was to stay focused on track with finding agencies and people that would benefit from the information that we have. And yeah, so I'd like to thank you for all your contributions to the criminal justice field and your attendance here today.
Good morning. My name is Cam Hogeveen, and I'm completing a degree in corrections while currently on the waiting list for the nursing program here at Grand Rapids Community College. We will be discussing presentation protocols. Our script was designed to be very brief and to the point. All surveyors use the exact same script while conducting surveys in order to ensure complete uniformity. We went to great lengths to make sure we did not skew our results in any way. This included not only using the same scripts, but also wearing the same general attire. A brief description of our dress code for survey day was general attire, no hats, pajamas, sweatpants, or house shoes, as is expected dress code in all of Professor Banks' criminal justice classes. In the Criminal Justice Department, all instructors as well as personnel emphasize the importance of a professional appearance as well as professional attitude. Before conducting our survey, we emphasized the importance of both professional appearance and attitudes as we represented not only ourselves, but also Grand Rapids Community College. By wearing the same general attire and having a professional attitude, we helped ensure that the results would not be skewed due to one surveyor seeming more approachable than another. Our deadlines were extremely important in ensuring that all of our research was conducted on the same day and the same time frame. We also relied on deadlines to receive and supply results to other class members, such as those involved in data analysis, presentation protocols, and organization. Compliance with the established deadlines helped to ensure our survey, the results, and this presentation could all happen on the set dates and times.
Hi, my name is Cindy Wessel. This is my second year here at Grand Rapids Community College seeking a degree in juvenile services. Organization, leadership, and teamwork are just a few of the skills needed I'll be speaking on regarding this project and our future endeavors. Professor Bank broke us up into 10 different groups in order to achieve a research project that not only covered many areas within the issue of substance abuse, but also gave everyone an equally important role in the completion of this project. As a member of the protocols group, our task was to organize the 10 groups by assigning them deadlines, attire, and the script. Our organization skills in making sure the deadlines were attainable and in tune with other groups was the first step in a successful research project. We needed to work as a team within ourselves to make sure all bases were covered, listening to one another, brainstorming deadlines, recognizing what each other's strengths are, and working off those were all part of our teamwork. Now we needed to show our organization and our teamwork to others that were diligently working on their part. The protocols group leadership skills came into play when we presented what had been organized, since this affected everyone else. We presented ourselves as confident, yet open-minded if a group had another idea or needed something to get their part done. These skills mentioned above have not only served us well participating in this project, but also good practice in working with others on the job or on other projects. Going into the criminal justice field, we recognize the importance of having the ability to work with a variety of people in order to achieve a common goal. Organization, teamwork, and leadership are skills needed in education, home, and careers. So the protocols group appreciates the opportunity to hone in on these skills through this important subject and research project.
Hi, my name is Sharonda Carter. I'm a sophomore and I'm currently studying corrections. I will be entering an internship next semester at Kent County Correctional Facility under Sergeant Tamara McDermott. Communication was one of the most important skills we possessed for this research presentation. Each group and its members effectively communicated with one another through valid thoughts and opinions. There were clear and precise methods of communication between the groups and Professor Banks. Collectively as a whole, we made sure we brought any questions and concerns to Professor Banks' attention so they could be immediately addressed. Each individual acted and carried themselves in a professional way. We allowed everyone to have a chance to voice their opinions without being interrupted. We take pride in and made sure that the information that we are presenting today was done to the best of our ability. Professionalism and communication are both basic skills needed whether you're on the job or taking on an internship. You need to utilize your communication and professionalism skills so that you, your fellow co-workers, supervisors, managers, and/or coordinators of your internship are all on the same page and everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing. We all must strive to show professionalism, not only on our jobs and internships, but also in our everyday life. We emphasize great focus on professionalism in regards to dressing appropriately, using proper etiquette, and communicating efficiently with people that we come in contact with.
Hi, my name is Rochelle Sodania. I'm a sophomore studying juvenile services. The purpose of a confidentiality statement is so people will know that it's not required for them to participate. It's a contract. If we fail, they can file a lawsuit against us. Also, so people can feel comfortable with giving out their personal information. The purpose of a confidentiality clause being in criminal justice to let people know that their answers are anonymous and nothing will be against them. The steps it took to create the confidentiality clause is we just targeted who was going to be reading it and who was going to be taking the survey. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kayla Morgan. I'm in my second year here at Grand Rapids Community College. We needed a statement to acknowledge the protection of the volunteers that participated in our research. The confidentiality clause was located on the top of all of the surveys. All survey volunteers had the opportunity to read and ask questions about their rights to confidentiality. We scheduled a meeting with the second commanding officer, Lieutenant Scott Merlot, to have him formally approve our clause. And this is our clause. Your participation in this research study is voluntary. The survey guarantees confidentiality amongst Grand Rapids Community College students and faculty. All data will be used in a form that will make it impossible to determine the identity of the individual responses. That is, the survey responses will not be penalized. The confidentiality of the survey responses is not absolutely guaranteed. All survey responses will be transferred to data and presented to community partners as well as school administrative personnel. Access to raw data will be tightly restricted to only those individuals directly involved in data analysis. Distribution and/or reproduction of any survey information outside the intended and approved use are strictly prohibited. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Stephanie Schindler. I'm in my third year at Grand Rapids Community College. I will be obtaining my associate's degree in corrections next fall. The role of our group was to develop survey questions conducted during our research. I will be talking about how we developed these survey questions. Julian, Amari, Stephen, and I got together and started brainstorming what types of questions should be used and would be effective with the results and answers we wanted to get from the students. We had to come up with 20 different questions that hit a variety of areas that what we would think would benefit our topic of research. We also took into consideration the article that was published on umlife.com that voiced the concern with GRCC's policies, issues in regards to substance abuse and use on campus, and the services that lacked attention. Once we had the questions down, we then reviewed it with our classmates and were able to narrow it down to 10 questions that we felt would be effective with getting students to participate in our survey and to create accurate results. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jillian Bowman, and I'm studying juvenile services. Demographic data is characteristics of a group per area. This information can be compiled according to the characteristics needed for a particular research study. Types of survey questions that can be used: open-ended questions, which is the type of question that allows participants to respond in their own way. In closed-ended questions, in contrast to open-ended questions, closed-ended questions require participants to choose from a limited number of responses predetermined by the researcher. There are 5 types of closed-ended questions: multiple choice, best possible answer; categorical, respondent must belong to a certain category; Likert scale, determine respondents' attitudes or feeling about something; numerical, must use a number within; ordinal rank order of responses. Why we chose to focus on categorical and Likert scale closed-ended questions was due to the amount of time we had to conduct our survey and specific questions we used. We felt that these types of questions were geared towards more accurate responses. The benefit of categorical questions and Likert scale questions is that it was easier to compare and statistically analyze data, as well as make it easier for the individuals involved in the survey to answer sensitive topics such as the use of alcohol and drug abuse on this campus. This approach was less aggressive and made the individual feel comfortable and able to answer truthfully with their responses.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Jones. I've been here at GRCC for 2 years studying juvenile services. When I am finished, I will transfer to Ferris University to pursue a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I'm here today to discuss why we chose these 10 specific survey questions. As a Grand Rapids Community College student, has faculty or staff ever informed you that the college provides drug and alcohol prevention programs / information? We chose this question to find out if the student population knows that there are services provided for substance abuse, and if not, school officials could take the necessary steps to make the program visible. Number 2, have you ever witnessed another student use drugs or alcohol on campus? We wanted to know if students are observing illegal activity on campus. Number 3, have you ever attended class under influence? Have you ever attended class under the influence of alcohol or drugs? We wanted to know how many students were coming to class impaired. In return, this could be a danger to he or she or other students. Number 4, have you ever used drugs and or alcohol on campus? If yes, where at? Car, bathroom, parking lot, etc. This question was asked to find out if drugs and or alcohol are being used on campus, and if so, the hot spots, if any. Number 5, have you ever sold illegal drugs and or alcohol on campus? We just wanted to know if drugs indeed are being sold on campus, and if so, campus police can be aware of these criminal acts on campus. I want to say thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Amari Jones. This is my 3rd year at Grand Rapids Community College, and after this upcoming winter semester, I plan on transferring to Morgan State University to seek a degree in the field of psychology. As a member of the survey and research group, our task was to formulate 10 questions pertaining to substance abuse on campus. Now I'm going to read off the next 5 questions and explain some of our reasoning for choosing them. The first questions read, have you ever purchased illegal substances on campus? And we use this closed-ended question for clarification purposes. We wanted clear and concise feedback to see how often drug transactions take place so that we can analyze the data and see if the issue, purchasing illegal drugs on campus, is a problem that needs recognition from GRCC police. Our next question reads, are you aware of GRCC policies and sanctions on the use of drugs and alcohol? And our purpose for choosing this question was to see if students were aware of the rules and regulations set by the GRCC administration regarding substance abuse usage on campus. When analyzing research, if the data showed more students being unaware of sanctions and policies, then that is an indicator that the GRCC administration should be doing a better job implementing the policies in a way for the majority to be properly informed so that students won't partake in criminality unknowingly. And our third question reads, have anyone tried to pressure you into trying drugs on campus? And our group came up with this question to verify information regarding peer pressure on the GRCC campus. And based on the data after conducting the research, we can see how much of a necessity awareness groups are on college campuses to teach students how to be above the influence and not fall victim to conformity when pressured to try drugs. And our fourth question reads, if you were sick on campus, how likely would you be to accept painkillers from a classmate? This research method of questioning is a Likert scale. We changed up the research method to get a broader range of statistics, involving drug abuse on campus. And with the data from this question, our group can get an idea of the circumstances in which college students will go about accepting painkillers or over-the-counter drugs from fellow peers. And our final question reads, if you've seen a teacher using on campus, how likely would you be to tell an authority figure? This form of research is also a Likert scale, and our group came up with this question because we wanted to get an understanding of how students felt about substance abuse usage on campus from a moral standpoint. After analyzing the data from this question, we could hypothesize whether the majority of Grand Rapids Community College students we surveyed felt like the consequences are necessary for people using illegal substance on campus, in contrast to the students who simply don't mind and feel like the individual using illegal substance on campus actions is justified.
My name's Hannah Newton, and I'll be graduating in May from Ferris with my bachelor's. I'm currently working as a clerk at the U.S. Attorney's Office. We will now be discussing the data outcomes from surveys we dispersed to our peers on campus. I will begin by going over the various demographics our survey covered. First, we asked participants to share what age group they were a part of. Majority of participants identified themselves as belonging to the 17 to 20-year-old group, with 109 students equaling 61%. We also had 43 participants between the ages of 21 and 25, 9 participants between 26 and 30, and 18 participants aged 31 and over. Next, we asked participants to disclose their gender. We had 97 females, 61 males, and 21 participants did not give an answer. We also asked that they share their ethnicity with us. We had 12% of participants identify themselves as African American. A majority number of 127 students, or 71%, identified themselves as white, followed by 11% Latin, 4% Asian, and 2% answered other. Our first question for participants was, as a GRCC student, has faculty or staff ever informed you that the college provides drug and alcohol prevention programs and information? 48 students answered yes, but 131 students, or 73% of those surveyed, said no, they had not been informed by staff about drug and alcohol prevention programs provided by the college. We also asked, have you ever witnessed another student use drugs or alcohol on campus? A majority of students, 149, answered no, but 30 students indicated that yes, they had seen another student using drugs and alcohol on campus.
Hi, my name is Shabli Beverly, and this is my second year here at Grand Rapids Community College studying corrections. We asked, have you ever attended class under the influence of alcohol and or drugs? 161 students, which is 90%, said no, and 18, which is 10%, said yes. Out of the 18 students, 9 were females, 9 were males. Out of the 18 students that attended class under the influence of alcohol and or drugs were between the ages of 17 and 20. We also asked, have you ever used drugs and or alcohol on campus? 4 students said the parking lot, 4 said the car, 1 said the bathroom, 1 said the park. We take into account that these are general locations, and we did not ask for specific locations. We asked, have you ever sold illegal drugs and or alcohol on campus? 178 said no, 1 did not answer. We also asked, have you ever purchased illegal drugs and or alcohol on campus? 179 said no.
Hi, I'm Taranika Kozar, this is my last year at Grand Rapids Community College. Are you aware of GRCC's policies and sanctions on the use of drugs and alcohol on campus? 120 said yes, and 59 said no. Has anyone ever tried to pressure you into trying any type of drug or alcohol on campus? 13 said yes, and 166 said no. Has anyone ever tried to pressure you into trying any type of drugs or alcohol on campus? Out of the 13 that said yes, there were 5 female and 8 male. If you were sick on campus, how likely would you accept painkillers from a classmate? 11% were very likely, 34 were somewhat likely, and 55 were never. And out of the 3 that said never, they were except for Tylenol. If you witnessed a faculty member or staff person use drugs or alcohol on campus, would you report them to authority on campus? 1% said no, 19 said never, 31 were very likely, and 49 were somewhat likely. Thank you.
I'll be talking about the recommendations. Based on the results we did get, there was a surprising number of students said that they were not informed by a staff member about the prevention programs and services that were provided by the college. It should be noted that there was an email sent out at the beginning of the fall semester on October 1st that did inform the students that GRCC prohibits the use of drugs and alcohol on campus, and if someone you know or if you are struggling with the use of these drugs, to contact the Counseling Center for more information. Even though this was an approach to get the word out, it didn't seem effective. The concern about this was that 1, students did not use their Blackboard email accounts very often, or 2, some of the students may look at the heading of the GRCC email and bypass it as non-important. Now, a recommendation, which is a simple approach to implement this code with the students, is to put it into all student syllabi. This is less intrusive to the students and could be a step forward into the right direction to get the word out there. Along with this, there should be posters around the GRCC campus that should stand out and grab the students' attention. Also be hung up in popular areas such as the elevators, financial aid office, the bookstore, cafes, and other places that students like to hang out at. Another recommendation that would implement the awareness is to be mentioned and teach students about the services, programs, and policies in the CLS 100 program. With the college, this is a college learning studies introduction to college new student experience, which is open to students who have earned less than 18 credits. This course is designed to assist new students with the knowledge, skills, abilities, and needs to be successful in college and in life. Topics include learning styles, critical thinking, information management skills, GRCC history and services, study skills, values, exploration, academic planning, career planning, civic engagement, and diversity. Adding this code of alcohol and drug abuse could be another great start to make even the new students aware of this concern as they come into the college. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Trevor Mooney. This is my second year at Grand Rapids Community College, major being in criminal justice. I'm also a graduate of the Kent Career Technical Center Criminal Justice Program. I was informed by the counseling department and that the only program offered here for drugs and alcohol is Alcoholics Anonymous. I was both shocked and amazed that this was the only program. I was amazed that it was the only program offered, and I was shocked that we even offered it. We don't expect changes to be made instantly, but we do hope that some ideas are forming in your mind. So we conclude this humble presentation in the hopes that with time we can see more programs focused on helping students, maybe even professors, with drug or alcohol abuse. Thank you all for coming. We will now entertain feedback and or questions you may have.